So you've decided to rebel against the Empire. It's a commendable choice. But how are you going to do it? Because it's turn 1, and all you can think about is how they start with like 5 times as many units as you. Well, luckily, you're in a better position than you might think. And with these 5 strategy tips, you're going to be busting Imperial plots and blowing up Death Stars in no time. The Empire is big, but it's also slow to get moving. And this means a couple of things for you. First off, there's this temptation to be unpredictable and put your base in one of maybe the inner ring spots or something that's close to the enemy, but maybe they won't expect it. But if you do that, there's also a fair chance that they're going to step on it by accident early on in the game, and then you're in serious trouble. Now, instead, there are a lot of great spots that are on the outer rim, they're far away from the enemy, and they're on opposite sides of the map. So just pick one of those and don't worry about being too obvious, especially if you're new to the game. Now, just because you pick an outer rim system for your base doesn't mean you need to telegraph your location. Now, this will be a little bit less effective as the Empire draws more and more probe cards, but until they narrow things down, you might consider building units on multiple sides of the map. Setting up false flags like this can force the Empire to spread itself out too thin, and then hopefully, when they eventually do figure out where your base is, you will have built up enough of a defense to counter their attack, or at least enough to stay alive while you run off to the next base. Not all of the objective cards are going to fit the situation that you find yourself in. If you aren't playing the infiltration card, you're going to find yourself at the mercy of the stage 1 objectives, and those can be less valuable and more difficult than the stage 2 and 3s. Choosing the cards you want to keep early on will help set your strategy for the rest of the game. And once you know the cards well enough, you can kind of do the opposite. Tailor your strategy for the cards that you know are coming. For example, if you know you want to destroy a Death Star, you might focus on building up a fleet of X-Wings while you search for that Death Star plans card. One of my favorite things to do as the Rebels is to figure out which fleets the Empire is moving the most and send missions on those units' locations. And because you can't move units out of a system where you have one of your leaders, this forces the Empire to make a choice, whether they want to move that round or combat your mission. And this works really well with missions that you know the Empire is going to want to fight, but if you know they aren't going to move right away, there's something a little cheekier you can do. First off, you send a mission that the Empire is probably going to ignore, but the leader you send has skills matching a second mission that you have in the wings, one that you know they're going to want to fight. Then, when you send that second leader on that mission and the Empire sees it, they're going to have to fight it, but it's going to be even harder because now you have 2 leaders that are both contributing skills towards the mission. This doesn't work all the time. In fact, it's pretty difficult to pull off, but if you do, it's really satisfying. Sabotage is one of the most powerful cards in the Rebels mission deck, but that doesn't mean you should be playing it every round for the entire game. Early on, the valuable spots to hit are planets that produce AT-ATs and Star Destroyers. But timing is key. The Empire has an R&D card which just removes Sabotage, so if you can play your Sabotage after they've played their R&D, that's the best time to do it. Beyond that, it gets a little bit trickier because as the game goes on, Sabotage becomes less valuable. All you're doing is stopping the production of 1 or 2 units, and that's just not as good as it is in the early game. Instead, you should be placing your Sabotage on systems that the Empire is deploying units to, maybe systems that are closer to your Rebel base. That's a more valuable way to do it, but regardless, by the end of the game, Sabotage is just a lot less valuable than it was at the beginning. So by then, you can start to focus on other mission cards. And those are my top 5 tips for playing as the Rebel Alliance. But what are your favorite strategies? Let me know in the comments below. I know there are a few things that I left out, so I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. And the next video is obviously going to be my top 5 Imperial strategy tips. And again, that's going to be exclusive for your rules lawyers, getting it a month before everybody else. So keep being awesome. Or if you're not a rules lawyer, maybe you should consider being awesome. Bye.